Hey everyone, welcome to What's Happening in Real Estate. And I've got Conrad Zarini here with REMAX Escarpment, REMAX Niagara, big city broker, Ontario broker, Canada broker. He's won tons of awards. And then we got Brian Hogbin there, top broker for mortgages, Mission 35 Mortgages, mission35.com. And you see his signs everywhere saying better than the banks. That's it. That's him. And myself, Rob Golfi with REMAX Escarpment and with the Golfi team. So let's talk about stats. And months of inventory, is it climbing or is it, am I just, like what the heck's going on there? Hamilton's not too bad. But Burlington in July is 3.5 months, 4.1 months of inventory in Hamilton and surrounding areas. Burlington is 3.5 months. And then we got Niagara. Holy smokes, almost 6 months of inventory. What the heck is going on in Niagara?
Well, I think we got to say one thing, though, quickly, to explain to the audience, too, what months of supply means, right? So what it means is if not another house goes for sale, like for the rest of the month, there is 4 months supply of properties. and we know that's not going to happen. But you know what? Look, I've been dipping my toe in Niagara for the last 10 years or so. These are traditional months of supply, especially when you're talking about Fort Erie and Welland. Those are traditional 6 and 7 months. When I started doing the stats in Niagara, I used to have to look at it and say, what's going on here? Why is it 7 months? But it's a longer process, without a doubt. The problem, I think, is that consumers they're looking at this like it's catching a sword in the air, and they're thinking that prices are going to drop, as they go along. Between prices are going to drop or you're going to see interest rates drop. And I think they have to understand that, Brian can speak to this better. A quarter point's not going to get you that much buying power. It's going to save you, $1,000 in interest in the entire year. There are some categories. Bungalows, for instance, are doing very, very well all over the region, especially in Halton. We're seeing month-over-month increases. So if you're looking for a bungalow, you better move over. But we're seeing a lot of supply coming on. I think sellers thought the market was going to go crazy when rates dropped, and they came a running with inventory, and they're worried about their renewals, right? Their renewals, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're going to renew higher, right?
Yep.
So now, especially, look, I'm looking in Burlington here.
Yeah.
The benchmark price, medium price,
yeah,
it dropped in the last 60 days. What the heck is that about?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is it just, 172 sales, medium price. It went in June. It went from 998,000 down to 943,000, and that's what it was in February, March of this year. So we went. So right now is probably a good time to buy a house in Burlington and probably make a couple $100,000 in the next 6 months on that house.
Oh yeah, and you're right. The benchmark price is the better leading indicator. It's actual real. It's seasonally adjusted. It takes out like 5 bedrooms, takes out 2 bedrooms, and it kind of moves things around. Seasonally adjusts, takes out holidays. So that's a real indicator, because before, if the average price dropped that significantly, we would say because it's more lower priced homes pulling it down. But this is an actual real number. Yeah. So you're all right. This is a time people will have. There's going to be a shirt. It's going to say Golfi gets it sold. I wish I would have bought the summer of 2024.
I'm going to get that shirt done.
Yeah, I wish I would have bought the summer of 2024. I'd be ahead of the game.
Yeah,
you are so right.
No kidding. But like Burlington, you know what? I've been seeing there's been 2 swings now in Burlington, and now I know there's an opportunity right now. If you go in there and just hammer on a good deal on a house in Burlington, you will build equity so fast in Burlington, because Burlington always recovers fast, and they recover and it's solid. Like for some reason they're going through kind of a weird kind of time. I mean, with the interest rate drop of the second drop that we had, didn't move the needle. I don't think it moved the needle at all again, right? Like, am I right, Brian? Like, did Did it
Not a
change?
lot,
Like,
yeah. And I think for Burlington too, we're seeing a lot of clients that, they wanted to time the market. We saw a couple people that sold houses, 12, 18, 24 months ago. It's funny because now we're seeing them get their pre-approvals back in and go back into the market. And you know where a lot of the ones are going who sold? A lot of the ones I've seen migrate from the Grimsby area and even Hamilton that were moving up, Burlington now. That's where they want to buy, and that's where they're looking.
They're leapfrog, yeah. And yeah, Burlington's blue chip, you're right. And I tell you, Burlington's plagued by one thing, because when I look at Burlington numbers in January, I'm always depressed. And you know what it is? People are away. The agents are away and their clients are away. And again, summertime, we had a great weather, and I'm going to blame the weather. People in Burlington are away. They're just not seeing that inventory, and they're saying, should we come down? You know what I mean? They're just not in the hunt in the summer, and that's what I think. But you know what's really dynamic is something very interesting. Kitchener and Waterloo and Brantford. I don't know if you guys follow this market, but in Kitchener right now, 60% of the listings sold in July went 100% or over.
wow.
On average of 107%. Brantford, same thing, 107%. It was 42%. Now, when you take our entire region from Niagara, Hamilton, Halton, Haldimand, it's only 20% of the properties go 100% or more. And the standouts were Northeast Burlington at 22%, Niagara Falls at 22%, and Lower Stony Creek at 22%. So why are we like 1/3 of the amount of solds going over price compared to places like Kitchener and Waterloo and Brantford? It's very interesting.
Well,
Any
I
answer?
hear there. I in Kitchener, Waterloo. I was talking to somebody there, and I hear there's more tech industries moving out that way. Was that you that was telling me that before, Conrad, or somebody else?
There's no question. Yeah. And this is
And that's what's driving the market up over there. There's more tech now. Is BlackBerry still out in Waterloo?
Yeah, they're still there. Yeah. They got a new
I
CEO.
think Google is out there now as well.
Yeah,
too.
Google. Yes. Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. So
Well, and the university, is it the University of Waterloo that they scout a lot of these new kids graduating, and that's why they're more of a tech town in that area. But like it's funny how this market is. Like I found Burlington is thing, but like is like got a good swing, which is a good opportunity there. But also the rest other areas, it's just floating. It's just balancing. It's like 1 month it's up, 5,000-10,000. Next month it's down, up and down. And I always hear stories, oh, there's going to be a crash. There's going to be a crash. The crash happened already. It's done.
Yeah.
It's over with. Yeah. Guys, if you're looking at buying, like I'm telling you, you get in now before there's going to be a boom. We do have a shortage of homes. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And that's going to catch up to us, and it's going to pile up and pile up. It's right now we're in a constipation mode. I really truly feel that, and then it's going to explode. They're going to get a couple more interest rate drops done. And another 2 quarters down this year, and then you're going to see either the fall or for sure February, March next year, you're going to see a market that is going to be just crazy like we've been experiencing for many years before.
We've talked about it before. This is a market in transition. This is a market that's got to find its footing. And the minute it finds its footing, look out, exactly what you're saying. And it's going to find its footing. But the problem is everybody wants to guess when that footing is.
Yeah.
It is. By the time it's here, it's too late, and you know how quickly this thing can turn the other way. It's very fast. So it'd be interesting with another rate cut. And I think if the BOC does another 2 cuts this year and starts to say, you know what, we're thinking maybe we're going to watch things a little bit, we're going to postpone, and a couple of meetings go by and they don't do anything in the new year, I think that will really get people thinking, like, wait a minute, is this? Are there going to be more increases? Japan just increased interest rates because inflation was getting so high because their dollar was getting low against the U.S. U.S. hasn't done anything, maybe September. So it's going to be interesting. Our Canadian dollar, we bring imports in, guys. Like, you know what I mean? Our Canadian dollar, we're going to start seeing inflation ratchet up because we buy all our goods are European or U.S., right?
And our dollar is terrible right now.
Terrible,
right? To the greenback, it is absolutely brutal. So if the Fed doesn't make a cut, like, and our rates go down, like, nobody's going to Florida in the wintertime from Canada, right?
For sure. Oh yeah, no kidding. But with this interest rate, like, cut, if they do this, would they bring it down? Up again if it sparks the market too aggressively?
he always says that. Like, there's always that thing where we're leaving the door open for an increase. And Brian and I were talking about it. 5-year money, the 5-year money in commercial lending is higher than 2 and 3-year money. So, you know what? It's a balancing act. It's a very delicate balancing act.
Yeah.
Some people have given up on the inflation thing and said, "Fuck it." Right?
Yeah, and I think too, like you look at it, when we see a quarter point drop in September, which I'm pretty certain we will. We'll see if we see a quarter point drop. If that's another one, because just to your point last week, Conrad, with the listing appointment center being up to big highs, and we're seeing pre-approvals ratchet up as well too. If we see another quarter point jump, they may sit for a couple months too, like the BOC meeting, because if they see things ratchet up too quick, they may just say, "Hey, let's wait and see what happens here." So. You
think maybe one more quarter point drop and then they're going to hold there till the new year? You think? What do you think?
It's hard. Well, it's hard to say, but jobs, like the problem is the big equation. Just like we were just saying a few minutes ago, jobs are driving the market. They don't care what interest rates are in Kitchener and Waterloo. Jobs are driving the market. When you're making money, you don't care, right? It's just a vehicle. You borrow money to get where you want to be. So they're going to pay a lot of attention to the job market and hiring. And you know what? They might pull away from this inflation number. And you might see, because the last study that they did, the last survey they did, a lot of employers, 90% of them said they're not hiring a single person in Q4. So that scares them a little bit. So they'll probably keep it going.
Yeah, I think the rates, I still think you're going to see the half drop, right? It's just going to be a matter of what happens after that. Like to Conrad and your point, Rob, when we end up saying now's the time to buy because the market is like in that moment, people typically wait till everybody else is buying, which ends up taking 30, 60, 90 days. So it's kind of like you see 2 more drops, then we get into Q1 of next year. That might be like, okay, let's do it, but it's already had the lift.
Okay.
Everything lags in this market a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I got one thing here. This came out in the paper just yesterday, I think it was, or no, today. It says, would tax breaks for Ontario developers really make housing more affordable? So they're saying a group of 19 developers who said they are poised to build 100,000 new housing units over the next 10 years. So now, if they do that, the federal provincial governments to remove HST on all new housing, the provincial and municipal governments to eliminate land transfer tax on new construction as a one-time benefit to the initial buyer. And then number 3, municipal governments to reduce development charges on new housing to 2009 rate, adjusted for inflation. Do you think that will spark it? I think it's a short term, but we'll be back in the same situation anyway down the road.
I think you're right. It's going to boomerang, right? We're just going to get back. Like I think a lot of the way they tax home buying, and it's land transfer tax and development charges. I think they have to relook at this whole formula. And I think we got to go to the federal government should be giving infrastructure money. It shouldn't go in the backs of consumers, because I'll tell you, a townhouse today, it's a quarter. But when you look at all the taxes, $1 million townhouse is got $250,000 in taxes. Like, how can that be even sustainable? So you're right, Rob. You bring it back to maybe 150,000, right? But then we're going to be right back where we started. Yeah. So they gotta change the whole way they structure how they deal with infrastructure and growth and all that kind of stuff. It can't just come on the heels of or the backs of a consumer. No, done.
I totally agree. Like, we're looking at a townhouse complex right now, and I just got my quote for the development charges, and we're a little tiny person. And the development charges work out to be, in Conrad, you can chime in, almost 20%. 20% of your building costs is in development charges.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And you're just like, number one, a little builder, how do you enter in the market? Never going to happen.
No.
Right? Little builder, like, it's just almost impossible for anybody to want to start in that business now. And then to your point, it's just going to drive up costs astronomically, because if you're trying to build a town for 600, 700, 800,000 for what, townhome?
Yeah.
And what do you want to make? 10%? You could put it into a private mortgage corporation and make 10%. Why would I take the risk of building all that money? Like, if I'm a builder, why would I put out millions and millions and millions of dollars just to make 10% and take all that risk?
Yeah.
And that's going to eliminate the stock. How many times have we said too, the single family home and the townhouse is going to be non-existent? if they don't put more incentives in place for builders, you're only going to have the option of living in one of those condos or high rises 10 years from now.
You know what the biggest problem here is? They're trying to figure a fix to have this happen. It's just a big screw up from 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
They didn't build enough homes. They brought in too many people into this country. It's going to take 20 years to fix. And they're going to be talking about this. It's going to be in the paper all the time.
Yep.
Shortage of homes, trying to figure a way. There's nothing you can do. You may have to stop immigration for maybe 2 to 5 years, and then get the housing going, and then it'll bring the housing costs down. I don't know what else can be done. What do you guys think? What's your thoughts on that?
Like I said, they got to change the way they tax, and cities should be the responsibility of the federal government, and it should be that money that goes into cities. Like I said, you just can't, the consumer can only take it so far, and incomes are not going high enough. And the whole thing has to change, and how we exist, and how we tax and all that kind of stuff, because it's unaffordable. It's unaffordable.
Look at this. In the 50s, 60s, and 70s, one household income coming in, right?
Yeah.
Now, the 80s, 2 household incomes coming in. Now you have a rental in your basement, 2 household incomes. Now they're doing multi-generational homes. How many people can you, you got to be married to 3 wives now that are all working, and kids that are working. I mean, but literally, they're building to, pushing people to bring more people into the one household single family home. Look at the multi-generational homes. They got 3 generations in one house.
Yeah.
What's that about?
Almost 1 million households have multi-generational. 900,000 households are multi-generational. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's the biggest number ever. Yeah.
And it's happening in the rental market too. We've got an apartment right now where we had a couple units, 2-bedroom apartment, 800 square feet, $2,400 for the unit. The people that are renting now are diverse families where it's a couple and a sister renting. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like you're getting people even in the rental market that are saying, "Hey, let's pool resources here."
Yeah, they have to. They got an extra bedroom. They have an extra bedroom. I
can't afford a $1,600 or $1,800 one bedroom, so I'll go into a 2-bedroom and pay $1,100 or $1,200.
Yeah.
So that's even happening in the rental market now.
Crazy. Well, guys, listen. I appreciate your time. We're out of time, and thank you, and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.